Number 1. Unrealistic stereotypical portrayal in the media. We often see very stereotypical and unrealistic portrayals of men in the media. Men are often considered incompetent, misogynist, and brutal slobs, thinking only about coitus, beer, and sports, and having few other redeeming qualities. But on the other side of the spectrum, they are portrayed as superheroes, the kind that are financially successful, perfect, rich, handsome, brilliant, athletic guys, which is kind of the gold standard and considered ideal. These are the two extreme choices of false manhood that society constantly asks men to choose between. It's either being sensitive to everything or being hyper-aggressive bullies, financial providers for their families. Besides these, they're expected to be men of the house, and so the man box begins. The ways in which being a man is acceptable by our culture is narrow and limiting. There are no portrayals of the many men who are complex, kind, communicative, nurturing, the men who are able to both be warriors and poets as needed, able to love deeply and for the long term, with multidimensional abilities about a whole host of things. Number 2. Relationships of every kind. When people think of men in relationships, they often assume that all they want are sexual relationships. But in reality, men are just as interested in wanting more than sex and committing to all kinds of relationships. Men are definitely interested in friendships, being good fathers to their sons and daughters, being good sons to their fathers and mothers. They are interested in familial relationships of all kind. They are very much interested in long-term committed relationships and being in love with their partners and providing and caring for them. They are interested in having platonic friendships without any other motives. Apart from those, they are interested in meeting new people and exploring and dealing with all other kinds of people. All such relationships are part of the psyche of today's man, and all relationships that should be celebrated by our society and culture. After all, a loving relationship with any other human being is a sign of strength. Hey guys, welcome to another exciting psychological facts video, where we go talk about some harsh truths about being a man in today's society. Number 3, the man and boy structure. Men have historically been the first to be in wars, into rescue missions, and also seen as the initial frontiers of economic progress. They put in place the infrastructure for transport and communication. But what's not spoken about much is that every year thousands of men die in these industries, especially those working in coal mines, railroads, sewers, satellite towers, and other dangerous workplaces that are often taken for granted. There's something in our collective consciousness that treats men and boys as disposable, from the invisibility of boys who are being sex trafficked to men who are being exploited as cheap manual labor. Men and boys are also invisible victims of rape and sexual assault. There's no clear language, few outlets for them to talk about it, and an often society-driven reluctance for them to come forward. Number 4, sports as a lens of culture and masculinity. It cannot be argued that sports has typically been the domain of men, not to discredit that women aren't wonderful athletes and fierce competitors, but it has been an accepted fact that men are typically faster, stronger, and more powerful. Sports have given stage to many positive aspects of traditional masculinity, strength, and power. But with all of that, there are other sides of masculinity that come out in the world of sports. Bullying, power struggles, homophobia, and sexual abuse. Then there are the difficulties of parenting or taking paternity leave when you're a high-profile sports person. People are always demanding you to perform no matter your circumstance, and they depend on you for their sports fix. There are also men who simply have no interest in sports, particularly competitive sports. They often feel ostracized. They are made to think that sports is a requirement, but not an outlet for a fully realized life. The concept of sports brings out the most prominent picture about masculinity. Number 5, the pressure for financial success. Having financial stability and having enough money to pay your bills and keeping yourself and your family afloat is obviously a good thing. However, culturally, it has been expected of men to be the sole provider of a household. Even in a marriage where the wife is working and is doing significantly well, it is expected that the man is still responsible for everything. The expectation to be a financial success and be as rich as possible is astounding, and it leads a lot of men to abuse the system. Some also turn to illegitimate ways of making dough and becoming rich as quickly as possible. Men who cannot live up to society's expectation of being successful often feel like absolute failures. This is made even more difficult by a world that is changing even faster than most of us can keep up with. There are fewer career jobs that have built-in security and that you can retire from with a pension. Robots, technology, and automation really does mean there are fewer jobs out there. For a high percentage of families, even a minor unexpected expense can be catastrophic. We need to build a society where everyone has access to financial security and is not tied so inextricably to being a man. Number 6. Paternity leaves and stay-at-home dads. Mothers have traditionally been considered to be the better parent due to the belief that they are natural caregivers. However, this stereotype is quickly changing in today's society, and more men are homebound and looking after their children while mothers go to work and support the economy of the household. This, however, is not a very accepted picture, and men who are at home and looking after their children are often seen by society as losers, or those that are slacking off and are unable to get a job that can support the entire household. This cannot be further from the truth, because men who stay at home with their children do that because they want to be a part of their children's lives, and they are usually very supportive of their wife's career and actively push them towards success. At the workplace, men are often not given enough paternity leaves, and single fathers often face enormous difficulties finding time for their children. They also face difficulties when it comes to divorce and custody. The role of active, engaged fathers should be coveted. That is not going to happen if men are only seen as financial providers who are incapable of nurturing. Number 7. They need to uphold their strength even in old age. Men who are old and men who are young don't fit into the two biggest parameters of idealized masculinity. Older men are seen as weak and feeble, while younger men are not yet financially successful. But beyond age, there are other forms of societally defined weakness that keep men out of the traditional man box. If you are not able-bodied, i.e. if you're disabled in some way, weakened by injury or disease, or suffering from mental illness, you are told to man up and take it like a man. You are also outwardly marginalized, shamed, bullied, rendered invisible, somehow excluded from the boys' club. It may be the reason why body image problems are becoming an issue among men. A quest for perfection of the physical body is a way to prove strength and prove manhood. Granting men permission to be whatever they are, young, old, weak, strong, able, physically challenged, happy, depressed, should be normalized and become a part of society in the 21st century. Almost every man around the world is facing the same challenges, some obvious and some fought secretly on the inside. Men persevere through their struggles, especially together, and they build character and find hope. We should be working towards a society where gender roles and stereotypes are broken and equality is normalized. But until that happens, we should do everything we can to not bring any gender down for the roles they are playing at work, at home, and in their lives. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video and would like to learn more about the human mind and how much we're capable of, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more such exciting content. See you all in the next one.